Maplewood was the kind of town where nothing much happened. It was quiet, predictable, and everyone seemed to know everyone else's business. The high school, Maplewood High, was no different. Students fell into their usual groups: jocks, cheerleaders, nerds, and loners. Life went on as it always had, until one day something, or rather someone, new arrived. Maya Johnson stepped off the bus that morning, clutching her backpack tightly against her chest. Her family had just moved to Maplewood from Chicago, and she wasn't sure what to expect. At 14 years old, starting over in a new place felt overwhelming. Maya was shy by nature, preferring books and quiet corners to noisy crowds. Back in Chicago, she'd been able to fade into the background easily enough. But here, everything felt unfamiliar. The first thing Maya noticed about Maplewood High was how small it seemed compared to her old school. The hallways were narrow, filled with rows of gray lockers that stretched endlessly. Students milled around, laughing and talking loudly. Some glanced at her curiously, but most didn't pay attention. Maya kept her head down, focusing on finding her homeroom class. Her schedule was tucked neatly inside her notebook, along with a list of classes and room numbers. As she walked, she tried not to bump into anyone or draw too much attention to herself. Still, she couldn't help feeling like all eyes were on her. Maybe it was because she was new, or maybe it was because she looked different. Either way, Maya wished she could disappear. When she finally found her homeroom, the teacher introduced her briefly to the class. "This is Maya Johnson," Mrs. Peterson said with a warm smile. "She's joining us from Chicago. Let's make her feel welcome." A few students nodded politely, but most barely glanced up from their phones. Maya took a seat near the back of the room, hoping to stay out of sight. For the rest of the period, she focused on doodling in her notebook, trying to ignore the knot forming in her stomach. At lunchtime, things got worse. Maya wandered into the cafeteria, tray in hand, searching for an empty table. Every seat seemed taken, and the noise was deafening. Groups of friends laughed and joked together, completely absorbed in their own worlds. Finally, she spotted a corner table where no one sat. Relieved, she made her way over and settled down. As she ate, Maya pulled out a book, a science fiction novel about aliens and space exploration. Reading had always been her escape, a way to forget about her worries and dive into another world. But today, even her favorite story couldn't distract her. She could feel eyes on her, though she didn't dare look up to see who was watching. It didn't take long for trouble to find her. 3 boys approached her table, their footsteps echoing across the tiled floor. Maya recognized them immediately. They were popular, the kind of guys who strutted through the halls like they owned the place. Their names were Jake Miller, Chris Harper, and Ryan Kelly. They wore matching smirks, their confidence radiating off them like heat. Well, look who we have here," Jake said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. He leaned against the edge of the table, blocking Maya's view of the rest of the cafeteria. "What's your name again? Mary?" "It's Maya," she corrected softly, keeping her gaze fixed on her book. She hoped they would leave if she ignored them. "Maya," Jake repeated mockingly. "That's a weird name. Are you sure you're not from some other planet?" His friend snickered, clearly amused by his joke. Maya didn't respond. She turned the page of her book, pretending to be engrossed in the story. But Jake wasn't done yet. He reached out and grabbed the book from her hands, flipping through the pages carelessly. "Aliens, huh?" he sneered. "Figures you'd read something this lame." He tossed the book onto the floor, letting it land with a thud. "Maybe you should stick to reading stuff normal people can understand." Maya's cheeks burned with embarrassment. She bent down to pick up her book, but before she could grab it, Chris kicked it under the table. All 3 boys burst out laughing, their voices loud and cruel. Tears pricked at the corners of Maya's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Instead, she stood up abruptly, grabbing her tray and hurrying away. Back in the safety of her bedroom that evening, Maya replayed the scene over and over in her mind. She hated feeling so powerless, so invisible. Why did people like Jake and his friends feel the need to tear others down? And why did no one ever stand up to them? The next day at school, Maya did her best to avoid the trio. She stuck to the edges of the hallways, keeping her head down and moving quickly between classes. But no matter how hard she tried, they always seemed to find her. Sometimes it was a snide comment about her clothes or her hair. Other times it was more subtle, like when Ryan deliberately tripped her in gym class, sending her sprawling onto the floor. Each incident chipped away at Maya's confidence, leaving her feeling smaller and more alone. She started skipping lunch altogether, hiding in the library instead. There, surrounded by shelves of books, she found a tiny bit of peace. But even there, she couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't belong. One afternoon, as Maya sat curled up in a corner of the library, she noticed someone watching her. It was a girl with curly blonde hair and a sketch pad in her lap. The girl smiled tentatively, then glanced away. Maya frowned, wondering why she was staring. Was she about to say something mean, like the others? But the girl didn't say anything. Instead, she returned to her drawing, occasionally glancing up at Maya with a thoughtful expression. For some reason, Maya found herself curious about her. Who was she? And why did she seem so different from everyone else? The next day, Maya decided to return to the library during lunch. She wasn't sure why. Maybe it was the quiet, or maybe it was the hope that she wouldn't run into Jake and his friends there. Whatever the reason, she felt safer surrounded by books than she did in the noisy cafeteria. As she settled into her usual spot in the corner, she noticed the same girl from yesterday sitting a few tables away. This time, the girl didn't just glance at Maya. She got up and walked over, clutching her sketch pad nervously. "Hi," the girl said softly, giving a small wave. "I'm Lily. I saw you here yesterday. Do you mind if I sit with you?" Maya hesitated. She wasn't used to people wanting to sit with her, especially not someone who seemed so normal. But something about Lily's voice made her feel less guarded. "Sure," she murmured, shifting slightly to make room. Lily sat down and opened her sketch pad, flipping through pages filled with drawings of animals, landscapes, and abstract designs. "I like drawing," she explained. "It helps me relax. What do you like to do?" Maya glanced at the book in her lap. "I like reading," she said quietly. "Mostly science fiction." Lily's eyes lit up. "That's cool. I've never read much sci-fi, but I think it's awesome that you do. What's your favorite book?" For the first time in days, Maya found herself smiling. She held up the novel she'd been reading. "This one. It's about aliens trying to communicate with humans." "That sounds amazing," Lily said earnestly. "Maybe you can recommend some books to me sometime." Their conversation continued slowly, with long pauses between sentences. Maya wasn't used to talking to anyone outside her family, and Lily could tell she was shy. But instead of pushing too hard, Lily kept things light, asking simple questions and sharing bits of her own life. She told Maya about her dream of becoming an illustrator and how she loved spending hours sketching in her room. By the end of lunch, Maya felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she wasn't completely alone anymore. Over the next few days, Lily kept showing up in the library, always ready with a smile and a new topic to talk about. Sometimes they discussed books. Other times, Lily showed Maya her latest drawings. Slowly but surely, Maya began opening up. She told Lily about her old school in Chicago and how much she missed having friends who understood her. She even admitted, in a whisper, that some kids at Maplewood High weren't very nice to her. Lily frowned when Maya mentioned this. "Who's being mean to you?" she asked gently. Maya hesitated, unsure if she should say anything. But Lily's kind expression gave her courage. "It's these 3 boys, Jake, Chris, and Ryan. They keep teasing me about my name, my hair, everything, and they won't leave me alone." Lily's jaw tightened. She had seen those boys around school. They were always laughing loudly and acting like they owned the place. She didn't know them personally, but she'd heard stories about their cruelty. "That's awful," she said firmly. "You shouldn't have to deal with that." Maya shrugged, looking down at her hands. "I don't know what to do. If I tell a teacher, it might get worse and no one else cares." "Well, I care," Lily said, her voice steady. "You're not alone, okay? We'll figure something out." Though Maya appreciated Lily's words, she couldn't help feeling skeptical. What could they possibly do against someone like Jake? He was bigger, louder and meaner than anyone she'd ever met. Still, having Lily on her side made her feel stronger, even if only a little. One afternoon, as Maya and Lily walked together toward the library, they ran into Jake and his friends near the lockers. Jake smirked when he saw Maya, leaning casually against the wall. "Hey, look who it is," he said, his tone mocking. "The alien lover and her new friend." Lily stepped forward instinctively, positioning herself slightly in front of Maya. "Leave her alone," she said, her voice firm despite the nervous flutter in her chest. Jake raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. "What's it to you, Blondie? Got a thing for losers now?" "It's none of your business," Lily shot back. "Why don't you go bother someone who actually likes your company?" Chris and Ryan snickered, but Jake's smirk faltered. For a moment, he looked unsure of himself, as if he hadn't expected anyone to stand up to him. Then he scowled and muttered, "Whatever," before walking off with his friends trailing behind him. Once they were gone, Maya let out a shaky breath. "Thank you," she whispered. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did," Lily replied, turning to face her. "No one deserves to be treated like that, not you, not anyone." From that day on, Lily became Maya's unofficial protector. Whenever Jake and his crew tried to mess with Maya, Lily was there, standing beside her and refusing to back down. At first, Maya worried that Lily would become a target too, but Lily brushed off her concerns. "If they want to pick on us, let them try," she said confidently. "They're all talk anyway." Despite Lily's bravery, Maya couldn't shake the fear that things would escalate. Jake and his friends didn't take kindly to being challenged, and rumors started spreading around school. Some students whispered that Maya and Lily were weirdos, sticking together because no one else wanted them. Others claimed that Lily must have some secret crush on Maya, which made both girls roll their eyes. But not everyone believed the gossip. A few students began warming up to Maya and Lily, impressed by their refusal to bow to Jake's bullying. One girl, Sophie, even joined them in the library one day, bringing snacks and chatting about random topics. Another boy, Ethan, complimented Lily's drawings and asked if she'd ever considered designing posters for the drama club. Slowly, Maya and Lily's circle expanded, though it remained small and tight-knit. For the first time since moving to Maplewood, Maya felt like she belonged somewhere, even if it was just with a handful of people. Still, Jake and his gang weren't done. If anything, their frustration grew. They hated seeing Maya and Lily gain allies, however few they might be. So they came up with a plan, a way to humiliate the two girls and remind everyone who really ruled the school. Unbeknownst to them, Lily had plans of her own. Late one evening, after finishing her homework, Lily pulled out a blank sheet of paper and began sketching. Her pencil moved quickly, capturing ideas as they came to her. By the time she went to bed, she had the outline of a prank that would turn Jake and his friends' bullying back on them. The next morning, Maya arrived at school to find Lily waiting for her near the entrance. "I have an idea," Lily said, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "But I need your help." "What kind of idea?" Maya asked cautiously. "A way to teach Jake and his crew a lesson they won't forget," Lily replied. "Are you in?" Maya hesitated. She trusted Lily, but the thought of confronting Jake scared her. "What exactly are you planning?" she asked. Lily grinned. "Something creative, and completely harmless. Trust me, it'll work." After a few moments of silence, Maya nodded. "Okay," she said softly. "Let's do it." And with that, the two girls set their plan into motion. That evening, Maya followed Lily home after school. They walked side by side, their backpacks slung over their shoulders, until they reached Lily's house, a small, cozy place on the edge of town. Inside, Lily led Maya to her bedroom, which was filled with colorful posters, stacks of sketchbooks, and half-finished drawings pinned to the walls. It felt like stepping into an artist's studio. "Okay," Lily said as she shut the door behind them. "This is where we'll work." Maya looked around nervously. "What exactly are we doing?" Lily grinned, pulling out her laptop and setting it on the desk. We're going to create something that will make Jake and his friends regret ever messing with us." Maya frowned. "But isn't that kind of mean?" "It's no worse than what they've done to you," Lily replied firmly. "Besides, this won't hurt anyone. It'll just give them a taste of their own medicine." Seeing Maya's hesitation, Lily softened her tone. "Look, I know it sounds risky, but trust me, we'll be careful and no one will know it was us. All we need to do is make it believable." After a moment, Maya nodded slowly. "All right, what do we need to do?" Lily opened her laptop and pulled up a photo editing program. She explained her plan. They would create fake screenshots of text messages and social media posts that made it seem like Jake, Chris, and Ryan were involved in something scandalous. Nothing illegal, just embarrassing enough to ruin their reputations. For the next few hours, the two girls worked tirelessly. Lily used her artistic skills to design convincing fake messages, while Maya helped come up with ideas for what to include. They decided to make it look like Jake and his friends had been caught vandalizing school property, stealing money from fundraisers, and even planning to sabotage the football team's championship game. Each accusation was outrageous but plausible enough to spark rumors. As they worked, Maya began to feel a strange sense of excitement. For once, she wasn't the victim. She was part of the solution. Watching Lily type furiously and add tiny details to the fake images made her realize how clever and determined her friend truly was. "This is genius," Maya said quietly, staring at the screen. "Do you really think people will believe it?" Lily smirked. "Oh, they'll believe it. Once these screenshots start circulating online, everyone will talk about it, and Jake won't see it coming." By midnight, they had everything ready. The fake evidence was stored on a flash drive, along with instructions for posting it anonymously during the school's talent show the following week. Lily had chosen the event because it would draw the biggest crowd, ensuring maximum impact. When they finally called it a night, Maya couldn't stop smiling. For the first time since moving to Maplewood, she felt powerful instead of powerless. As she walked home under the starry sky, she replayed their plan in her mind, imagining the look on Jake's face when he realized what was happening. The next day at school, Maya and Lily acted as though nothing unusual was going on. They sat together in the library during lunch, chatting casually about books and movies. No one suspected that they were secretly plotting revenge. Jake and his friends, meanwhile, seemed oblivious. They strutted through the hallways as usual, laughing loudly and making snide comments to anyone who crossed their path. Occasionally, they glanced at Maya and Lily, clearly annoyed that the two girls weren't cowering anymore. But they didn't approach them, not yet. On the day of the talent show, the entire school buzzed with excitement. Students gathered in the auditorium, eager to watch performances ranging from singing to stand-up comedy. Backstage, participants practiced their acts, adjusting costumes and rehearsing lines. Amid the chaos, Lily slipped away unnoticed. She found a quiet corner near the sound booth and plugged the flash drive into a school computer. With a few clicks, she uploaded the fake evidence onto multiple anonymous accounts across different social media platforms. Then she set the post to go live during the middle of the show, when everyone would be glued to their phones. When she returned to her seat beside Maya, she gave a subtle thumbs up. "It's done," she whispered. Maya's heart raced. "Are you sure this will work?" Lily nodded confidently. "Just wait." As the talent show progressed, the audience erupted in applause after each act. Everything seemed normal, until halfway through the program, when the first wave of notifications hit. Students started checking their phones, scrolling through the shocking accusations against Jake, Chris, and Ryan. Whispers spread like wildfire, growing louder with every passing minute. "What? Did you see this? Is this real? Oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that." Maya watched as confusion turned to outrage. Even some teachers began looking concerned, glancing toward Jake and his friends suspiciously. By the end of the show, the trio was completely surrounded by whispers and stares. Jake stormed out of the auditorium, his face red with anger. Chris and Ryan trailed behind him, looking equally furious and humiliated. Everyone else avoided them, unwilling to risk getting dragged into the drama. When the final act finished, Lily turned to Maya with a triumphant grin. Mission accomplished. Maya let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. I can't believe it actually worked. It did, Lily said, her voice filled with satisfaction. And now they'll think twice before messing with anyone again. Though neither girl admitted to orchestrating the prank, rumors quickly spread that Maya and Lily were responsible. Some students admired their bravery. Others dismissed it as karma catching up to Jake and his gang. Either way, the bullies never regained their former status. In the days that followed, life at Maplewood High changed dramatically. Without Jake and his crew terrorizing the halls, the atmosphere became lighter. Maya gained confidence, participating more in class discussions and even joining the school's book club. Lily continued sketching, inspired by the courage she and Maya had shown together. Their friendship grew stronger, built on trust and shared experiences. Together, they proved that even the quietest voices could echo loudly when given the chance. And as graduation approached, Maya reflected on how far she'd come since arriving in Maplewood. She owed much of her growth to Lily, who had taught her the power of standing up for oneself, and sometimes for others too. Jake, on the other hand, learned a lesson he wouldn't soon forget. Kindness costs nothing, but cruelty has a price. The fallout from the fake evidence hit Jake Miller, Chris Harper, and Ryan Kelly like a storm they couldn't escape. By Monday morning, the entire school was buzzing about the scandal. Students whispered behind their hands, teachers gave suspicious glances, and even parents began asking questions. Jake and his friends tried to deny everything, insisting that the posts were fake, but no one believed them. After all, the screenshots looked so real, complete with timestamps, profile pictures, and detailed messages, that it was hard to imagine anyone fabricating them. For Maya and Lily, walking into school felt surreal. They had expected some reaction, but nothing on this scale. As they made their way down the hallway, they noticed how people avoided Jake and his crew, treating them like pariahs. Some students openly mocked them, calling out sarcastic comments or laughing when they passed. It was clear that the trio's reign of bullying was over, for now. But Jake wasn't about to let things slide without a fight. He spent most of the morning stewing in anger, trying to figure out who could have done this to him. His mind kept circling back to one possibility: Maya and Lily. They were the only ones who had ever stood up to him before, and he knew they had motive. Still, he needed proof, or at least someone to blame. By lunchtime, Jake had worked himself into a fury. He spotted Maya and Lily sitting together in the cafeteria, talking quietly as usual. Without thinking twice, he marched over to their table, his fists clenched and his jaw tight. Chris and Ryan trailed behind him, looking uneasy but unwilling to back down. You, Jake spat, pointing a finger at Lily. I know you did this. Lily looked up calmly, though her heart was racing. She crossed her arms and raised an eyebrow. Did what? Don't play dumb, Jake snapped. Those fake posts about us, they came from you, didn't they? Maya stiffened beside Lily, gripping the edge of the table nervously. She glanced around, noticing that several students had stopped eating to watch the confrontation unfold. Even some teachers were starting to take notice. I don't know what you're talking about, Lily said coolly. Her voice was steady, despite the tension radiating through her body. If you've got a problem, maybe you should talk to whoever actually posted those things. Jake's face turned redder. You think you're so smart, huh? This isn't over. Oh, I think it is, Lily shot back, her tone sharp. Maybe next time you'll think twice before messing with someone smaller than you. The cafeteria fell silent. Everyone watched as Jake struggled to come up with a retort. For once, his usual bravado failed him. Instead of responding, he stormed off, dragging Chris and Ryan along with him. The crowd erupted into murmurs, many nodding approvingly at Lily's boldness. After the initial shock wore off, Maya leaned closer to Lily, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you think he knows it was us? Lily shrugged. Even if he suspects, he can't prove anything. We covered our tracks too well. Maya nodded, though she still felt uneasy. She trusted Lily's plan, but part of her worried that Jake might retaliate somehow. Would he try to make their lives worse, or would he finally leave them alone? Over the next few days, the rumors continued to swirl. Jake and his friends became social outcasts, shunned by nearly everyone at school. Teachers kept a close eye on them, clearly suspicious of their behavior. Meanwhile, Maya and Lily found themselves gaining respect from their peers. People who had once ignored them or even joined in on the bullying now approached them with admiration. One afternoon, Sophie, the girl who had started sitting with them in the library, pulled Maya aside after class. "Hey, I just wanted to say, I think what you and Lily did was really brave," she said earnestly. "No one stood up to Jake before, and now look at him. He totally deserves it." Maya blinked in surprise. "We didn't—" She started to protest, but Sophie cut her off with a knowing smile. "It's okay. You don't have to admit it," Sophie said. "Just thanks for showing everyone that bullies aren't untouchable." Maya didn't respond, but she felt a warmth spread through her chest. For the first time, she realized that standing up to Jake hadn't just helped her, it had inspired others to speak out too. As the weeks went by, life at Maplewood High began to change. The absence of Jake's bullying created a ripple effect, encouraging more kindness and inclusivity among students. New friendships formed, cliques loosened their grip, and even the teachers seemed happier. Maya noticed how much lighter the atmosphere felt, as if a dark cloud had lifted from the school. Despite the positive changes, Maya and Lily remained cautious. They didn't want to draw too much attention to themselves, especially since Jake and his friends were still around. Though their power had diminished, they occasionally muttered threats under their breath or shot dirty looks in Maya and Lily's direction. But for the most part, they stayed quiet, nursing their wounded egos. One day during art class, Lily sketched a new idea in her notebook, a comic strip featuring exaggerated versions of Jake, Chris, and Ryan getting tangled up in their own lies. She showed it to Maya, who burst out laughing. "You're amazing, you know that?" Maya said, shaking her head in disbelief. "How do you always stay so calm?" Lily grinned. "It's easy when you've got something to fight for. Besides, we make a pretty good team." Maya smiled, feeling a sense of pride she hadn't experienced in years. Together, she and Lily had not only survived Jake's bullying, they had turned it into something meaningful. Their friendship had grown stronger because of it, and they had inspired others to stand up for what was right. Still, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that their story wasn't quite finished yet. Jake was unpredictable, and she doubted he would let things go without some kind of retaliation. But for now, she chose to focus on the present, the newfound confidence she felt, the support of her friends, and the knowledge that she wasn't alone anymore. As the final bell rang, signaling the end of another school day, Maya and Lily walked home together, chatting about their plans for the weekend. The sun shone brightly overhead, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. For the first time in months, Maya allowed herself to feel hopeful about the future. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew she could face them, as long as she had Lily by her side. As the days turned into weeks, life at Maplewood High continued to shift in unexpected ways. Jake Miller, Chris Harper, and Ryan Kelly were still struggling to recover from the fallout of the fake scandal. Their attempts to clear their names had failed miserably. Every explanation they offered only seemed to dig them deeper into trouble. Teachers kept a close eye on them, and students avoided them like the plague. Even their families weren't spared. Rumors had spread beyond the school walls, reaching parents and neighbors who now looked at them with suspicion. For Maya and Lily, things were finally starting to feel normal, or as normal as they could be after everything that had happened. The tension between them and Jake's group lingered, but it wasn't as suffocating as before. People treated Maya differently now, not just because she'd stood up to bullies, but also because she carried herself with more confidence. She spoke up in class, participated in group projects without hesitation, and even volunteered to help organize the school's upcoming book fair. Lily, meanwhile, found herself gaining recognition for her artistic talent. Her sketches, once hidden away in notebooks, were now displayed proudly on bulletin boards around the school. A few teachers encouraged her to enter local art contests, and some classmates asked if she could design posters or logos for various clubs. Lily loved the attention, but what mattered most to her was how much closer she had grown to Maya. Their friendship had become unshakable, built on trust, shared secrets, and the kind of loyalty that comes from facing challenges together. One afternoon, as they walked home from school, Maya brought up something that had been on her mind. "Do you think Jake will ever stop being angry?" she asked softly. Lily shrugged. "Probably not anytime soon. But honestly, does it matter? He can stay mad all he wants. It doesn't change the fact that we won." Maya smiled faintly. "Yeah, I guess you're right." The truth was, Jake hadn't given up entirely. While he no longer confronted them directly, he occasionally muttered threats under his breath or shot icy glares across the cafeteria. Sometimes Maya caught him whispering to his friends, their heads bent close together as if plotting something. It made her uneasy, though she tried not to let it show. "He's harmless now," Lily said firmly when Maya mentioned it. "He knows better than to mess with us again, not after what happened last time." Still, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that Jake might try to retaliate in some way. She didn't want to live in fear, but old habits died hard. Every time she saw him lurking nearby, her stomach tightened, and she instinctively moved closer to Lily. Despite these lingering worries, Maya found joy in the little things. She joined the school's book club, where she met other students who shared her love for reading. During meetings, they discussed novels, debated character motivations, and exchanged recommendations. For the first time since moving to Maplewood, Maya felt like she truly belonged somewhere. Lily supported her every step of the way, often tagging along to book club sessions, even though she wasn't officially a member. "I'm here for moral support," she joked, though everyone knew she enjoyed listening to the discussions. Occasionally, she'd sketch scenes inspired by the stories they talked about, earning praise from both Maya and the other members. Sophie, the girl who had started sitting with them in the library months ago, became a regular part of their group. She introduced Maya and Lily to Ethan, a quiet boy who loved photography, and Emma, a bubbly freshman obsessed with graphic novels. Together they formed an unlikely crew, a mix of personalities and interests, but somehow it worked. They spent lunch breaks laughing, sharing snacks and talking about everything from movies to dreams for the future. Even outside of school, Maya's life began to improve. Her grades went up, thanks to her newfound confidence and the encouragement she received from her teachers. At home, her parents noticed a change too. Gone was the withdrawn, anxious girl who had struggled to adjust to Maplewood. In her place was someone brighter, more open and eager to share stories about her day. "It's amazing how much you've grown," her mom said one evening during dinner. "You seem so happy lately." Maya nodded, thinking of Lily and their friends. "I'm happy. Things are different now. Better." Her dad smiled. "We're proud of you, sweetheart. Whatever you're doing, keep it up." At school, the changes weren't limited to Maya and her circle. The absence of Jake's bullying had created a ripple effect throughout the student body. Students who had once been afraid to speak out now felt empowered to stand up for themselves and others. Cliques began breaking down, replaced by a sense of community that hadn't existed before. Teachers noticed the shift too, commenting on how much friendlier and cooperative everyone seemed. Of course, not everything was perfect. There were still moments of tension, especially when Jake and his friends passed by in the hallways. But overall, the atmosphere at Maplewood High felt lighter, freer. It was as if a weight had been lifted, one that no one had realized was there until it was gone. One Friday afternoon, as Maya and Lily left school together, they spotted Jake standing near the bike racks with Chris and Ryan. He looked angrier than usual, his fists clenched as he glared at them. For a moment, Maya hesitated, unsure whether to keep walking or say something. But Lily grabbed her hand and squeezed it reassuringly. "Don't look back," Lily whispered. "He's not worth it." Maya nodded, letting Lily guide her away. As they rounded the corner, she glanced back briefly, catching one last glimpse of Jake's scowl. Then she turned forward again, focusing on the road ahead. Whatever came next, she knew she could handle it, as long as she had Lily by her side. That evening, as Maya lay in bed staring at the ceiling, She thought about how far she'd come. Moving to Maplewood had been terrifying at first, filled with loneliness and self-doubt. But now, looking back, she realized it had been a turning point. Without those challenges, she might never have discovered her own strength or the importance of having someone like Lily in her corner. She drifted off to sleep with a smile on her face, dreaming of books, drawings, and endless possibilities. Tomorrow would bring new adventures, new challenges, and new opportunities to grow. And for the first time in a long time, Maya was ready. As spring turned to summer, life at Maplewood High settled into a rhythm that felt almost peaceful. Jake Miller, Chris Harper, and Ryan Kelly had faded into the background, their influence diminished to nearly nothing. Without their bullying antics, the school seemed lighter, freer, a place where students could focus on friendships, hobbies, and dreams instead of fear. For Maya Johnson and Lily Carter, this change marked the beginning of something new, a chapter filled with confidence, creativity, and endless possibilities. Maya noticed the shift most during her time in the book club. What had started as a small gathering of 5 or 6 members had grown into a lively community of readers who met weekly to discuss novels, poetry, and even graphic novels. Maya loved being part of it. She discovered authors she'd never heard of before, debated plot twists with surprising passion, and even led a discussion on her favorite science fiction novel, the same one she'd been reading when Jake first mocked her months ago. Lily often attended these meetings, sitting quietly in the corner while sketching scenes inspired by the stories they discussed. One day, after a particularly animated conversation about space exploration, she showed Maya a drawing she'd made based on the book's themes. It depicted 2 figures standing on an alien planet, gazing up at a sky filled with swirling galaxies. "This is amazing," Maya said, her voice filled with awe. "You should totally enter this in the art competition next month." Lily shrugged modestly. "Maybe, but I think it's more fun just to draw for myself." "Still," Maya insisted, "you deserve recognition. People need to see how talented you are." Though Lily laughed off the suggestion, Maya's words stuck with her. Over the next few weeks, she began submitting some of her work to local contests and exhibitions. To her surprise and delight, several pieces were accepted. Her sketches of alien worlds, futuristic cities, and fantastical creatures earned praise from judges and visitors alike. For the first time, Lily realized that her art wasn't just a hobby. It was a gift she could share with the world. Meanwhile, Maya continued to thrive in her own way. Encouraged by her success in the book club, she decided to write a short story for the school literary magazine. It was about a shy girl who discovered courage through unexpected friendships, a reflection of her own journey. When the issue came out, her story received glowing reviews from teachers and classmates. Even Sophie teased her good-naturedly, calling her the next big author. "You're going places, Maya," Lily told her one afternoon as they walked home together. "I mean it. You've got so much talent." Maya blushed but smiled proudly. "Thanks. And you're not too bad yourself, Miss Artist Extraordinaire." They both laughed, their steps matching perfectly as they strolled down the sidewalk. The air smelled sweet with blooming flowers, and the late afternoon sunlight warmed their faces. Everything felt right in the world, or at least as close to perfect as it could get. Of course, there were still moments when Maya thought about Jake and his friends. Occasionally, she'd catch sight of them lingering near the lockers or sulking in the cafeteria, but they no longer held any power over her. If anything, seeing them reminded her of how far she'd come since those early days at Maplewood High. One evening, as graduation approached, Maya and Lily climbed a nearby hill to watch the sunset. They brought snacks, books, and Lily's trusty sketch pad, settling down on the soft grass. From their vantage point, they could see the entire town spread out below them, the rooftops of houses, winding roads, and the distant silhouette of the high school. "I can't believe we're almost done," Maya said, leaning back on her elbows. "It feels like we just got here." "I know," Lily replied, flipping through her sketchbook. "But look how much has changed. Remember how scared you were when you first moved here?" Maya nodded, chuckling softly. "Yeah, I thought I'd never fit in. And now, She gestured toward the town below. Now I feel like I belong somewhere for the first time. That's because you do, Lily said firmly. You belong here. With me, with our friends, with everyone who sees how amazing you are. Maya felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, but she blinked them away quickly. Same goes for you, Lily. You saved me, you know that? If it weren't for you, I don't think I'd have made it through this year. Lily grinned. We saved each other, Maya. That's what friends do. For a while, they sat in comfortable silence, watching the colors of the sky shift from orange to pink to deep purple. Lily sketched the view, capturing the beauty of the moment in bold lines and soft shading. Maya flipped through her book, occasionally reading passages aloud that resonated with her. Eventually, Lily set her pencil down and turned to Maya. Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't met? Like if I hadn't sat with you in the library that day? Maya thought for a moment, then shook her head. Nope. Don't want to imagine it. Meeting you was the best thing that's ever happened to me. Lily smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. Same here, Maya. Same here. As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, they talked about the future, college plans, career goals, and all the adventures waiting for them beyond Maplewood. Though they didn't know exactly what lay ahead, they were ready to face it together. When they finally headed home, the streets were quiet, bathed in the gentle glow of streetlights. Maya glanced at Lily and felt a surge of determination. Whatever challenges awaited them, she knew they could handle them, as long as they had each other. And so, as their final days at Maplewood High slipped away, Maya and Lily embraced the uncertainty of the future with open hearts and unshakable courage. They had proven that even the quietest voices could echo loudly when given the chance. Together, they had faced bullies, built friendships, and discovered strengths they never knew they had. Jake and his friends, meanwhile, learned a lesson they wouldn't soon forget. Kindness costs nothing, but cruelty has a price. Their actions had consequences, not just for others, but for themselves as well. Perhaps someday they would understand the importance of treating people with respect. Until then, Maya and Lily were content to let their own lives speak louder than any words ever could. The end of one journey marked the beginning of another. And for Maya and Lily, the road ahead was bright with promise.